What's up guys, it's Andrew from Motorcycles Off-Road. In this video, I want to do everything you need to know about the Nuetech tubeless system for your dirt bike or your dual sport motorcycle. I'll break down the positives, the negatives, and also review what I think about it because I've been using this system for quite some time. Now, if you're interested in buying this system or any of the other products I talk about in this video, if you click on my Amazon affiliate link down below, I'll have them all in one category. Now, I will get a 1.5 to 2% kickback if you buy using that link. That's up to you. Do with that information as you please. Well, let's get right into the video. Okay, so I paid roughly $100 about 18 months ago for a rear kit on my 300L Rally of the Nuetech tubeless system, and I have been running this system ever since then. First of all, let's talk about why you would run a system like this. Me personally, I've run a lot of sand. The New Jersey pine barrens in which I ride a lot is 1.1 million acres. It's a pine forest full of sand. Some areas are a lot worse than others, but lowering your tire pressure is essential. Anybody that tells you that's not the case, they are just flat out wrong. I can tell you anecdotally, it helps. I can put you side-by-side videos of just showing the same day the only difference is tire pressure. And then also think about anyone who runs hard enduro. They run mooses or something like this. That'll simulate a tire pressure of 0 or 2 psi because how the tire will grip, form around the obstacles, and give them the correct traction. Now for sand, it's essential because if you have a high tire pressure when you hit the sand, it tends to dig. And when it digs, it pulls your bike left and right. It could even throw you off if you're at speed. But when you lower the tire pressure, it kind of mushrooms out and floats on the top and you have a bigger footprint. So you don't tend to dig as much. And with a wider footprint, of course, you're getting more traction because more rubber is touching the surface at one time. And also, later in the video, I will talk about the benefits of this system and how it can also help you and protect your rim in a rock situation. The second reason why you would run a system like this is because if you have a low horsepower bike, let's say a bike that makes horsepower of 30 or less, it really takes a lot of rotational mass out of the equation. You may not think that's a big deal, but it really is, particularly with a bike with a smaller engine. A heavy-duty tube could weigh 4 pounds or 2 kilograms. And once again, it's not only just lowering the weight of your bike, but it's weight that your drivetrain does not have to start, accelerate, or just spin. That's a lot of mass that you're taking away, and it feels that you get a lot better throttle response, particularly when you're using this system and like an aluminum rear sprocket. Now this system is not without its drawbacks, and I will talk about them as well. But first, let's talk about how the system works. So it works in two separate sections. The name tubeless is kind of deceptive because you do have a tube. What you have is a high pressure, super thick tube that's on the inside that locks the tire to the rim. This acts and completely replaces your bead lock, and it's 360 degrees around the tube, and it's pushing outward to keep that tire so it will never disconnect itself. So this inner bladder, you're going to pump up to 100 to 105 psi, and that basically locks everything in place. Now the outer bladder is actually your tire. Now this part of it actually turns your tire into something that would be more reminiscent of a traditional cast wheel with tubeless. And also what's a good feature is you can add amount of tire fix-a-flat in here. I personally go with flat out because I watched the guy Project Farm test these all side by side, and he literally used this product, drilled a 1/4 inch hole into his tire, and this product filled that hole so he could continue driving. So that sold me, especially since this guy has no brand bias or anything like that. So you're able to put some fix-a-flat in there for some extra reassurance. Now also make sure you balance your tire first before you put a tire gel in there. And then also, if you want to think about it, the tire gel will help balance the tire at speeds, as when you move the tire, it's going to spread out evenly and it's going to take away any kind of shudder or anything that you would have from maybe improper balancing. So that'll help as well. Now installation of this system is a bit of a pain. They do give you this like stainless steel tool to help you kind of like fit the tire on. I had to actually sit on top of the tire and rim to flatten the tire a bit just so I could get my rim inside of it. It was definitely more of a challenge to install, but then again, I was using the TUSD Sports, and they're a very thick, hard tire to begin with. Follow people's instructions, watch all the videos you can on how to install it. All I can say is you definitely want a slippery, soapy water, maybe Windex mixture to spray completely around the tire, and so it just slips into place. And once you get it, and it's good. I haven't had to mess with it since. Now back to the TUSD Sports tire in which I used. I did a whole review on this tire, and I have mixed feelings on this tire. I don't think it's the end all, which a lot of people are out there saying. I don't know if that's the case because they got them for free and they're like, these are great. I mean, they are inexpensive, which is awesome, but the tire didn't perform as well as because I wanted it to in certain situations. Like I said, you can watch the video. This video is not about that, but it did make it harder to install. But let's talk about the positives. So as I said before, the low pressure, you can run a low pressure, which is going to be great in many situations. In road, obviously, you're going to pump it back up. And then as it acts as a rim guard. So how it works is, say you're doing rocks or something like this that would normally give you a pinch flat when you run low PSI. This system will actually, in a lot of cases, protect your rim because that inner bladder being such a high PSI will take the grunt of the impact and not necessarily bend your rim, and you obviously can't get a pinch flat. So that's definitely some positives. And of course the weight, as we talked about earlier. Post-edit, I wanted to add something in on my review as a whole, and that is if you get a puncture on your tire side, you're able to plug it as you could like a traditional car tire. And that's definitely positive, because that can save you a lot of trouble and that can get you out of the trail. The other benefit to note is usually if you get a flat tire and you're in the trail and you have a rim lock, you can throw some zip ties on the opposite side of the rim lock and you can still ride the bike out of the trail. With this system, of course, since the inner bladder has its own cavity, you can always ride out with a flat tire without having any problem. So there's some extra things I wanted to put in there, and I feel like I would be doing a disservice if I didn't mention them. The downsides would be, of course, the price, the installation, and this thing loses air constantly. Now, they say do not use this on the road. I did use it on the road, and I did a 540-mile moto camping trip, but just be prepared that every single day you want to check your tire pressure and you want to pump it back up, because I have found that, after a day or two, it would drop down to 80 PSI. Now you're getting into dangerous territory, because if you're riding down the road and this thing blows the tire off the rim because that's the only thing holding it in place, that could be catastrophic. So if you're not somebody that likes to check your tire pressure often, maybe this is not the system for you. Just keep in mind that you have to. Now, me personally, when I go one-off riding situations, I'm always adjusting my tire pressure that day before I ride. It's like one of the first things we do as we're prepping and putting on our gear. So it's not really a big deal for me, but for some people it might be. It's not like a set it and forget it situation. And back to the installation, if you do somehow pop this inner bladder, now I don't know how this would happen. Maybe you run over a spike or, some sort of nail and it's able to pop this, it would be a nightmare to replace in the field. It's not as simple as, just take it out and replace it, and it's not going to hold any kind of patch. Like I think a tube, you could take it out, you could patch it, and you'd be fine. But at the PSI that this thing runs, I don't think any patch is going to work. So basically, you're still going to have to carry a tube in the case that you blow this thing out, and then you have to replace it. Now, my answer for this is you carry one standard thickness 21-inch tire tube. And when you're riding with a group, one person can hold the tubes and the tools, another person, and you can always work it out when you're doing long distance travel of who carries what. But for me, I'm running this system primarily in the rear, so I will carry a 21-inch tube. If I blow the front, I put the 21-inch tube in. If I blow the back and I gotta take this whole system out, I can still use the 21-inch tube in the 18-inch rim just to get me back to camp, and I'll have no problems. I can probably finish the trip as long as I stay very conservative with my speed and the obstacles I take. So keep that in mind. That's something to deal with too. I have to say I've never had any issues with it popping, and I don't think it's very likely, but it is possible. So it's something that we should address. But that's the tubeless system, and that's my thoughts on it. And I've noticed a lot of people have been, commenting, asking about this system. So I just wanted to make this video to flush everything out so you can see exactly the positives and the benefits. And maybe there's something that I'm not mentioning here that you guys could think of, and put it in the comments below so the guys that are coming to find this video and get this information, they can read it down there. But that's everything. I hope you guys enjoyed and found this video informative. If so, please subscribe, help me reach my goal of 30,000 subscribers, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. My name is Andrew, and this is Motorcycles Off-Road. Stay safe out there, guys.